Okay, here we are at the next little segment here. We got the prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells, and you should know the difference. Prokaryotic cells are, you can think of them as sort of the simpler type, and then the eukaryotic cells, I'm backwards, are the more complex cells within all the different organelles. That's what we are. Okay? Now, here's the thing, something I'm going to try to get across here. There's really only three kinds of molecules or classes of molecules that life is made out of. The molecules are not alive. The molecules are just basic matter. But the atoms interact mostly using electrical forces of attraction and stuff like that. If you remember chemistry stuff in sixth grade, if you get into why they stick together. But they interact with each other using these electrical forces is what it mostly is. And they kind of bind in ways, and they'll move in ways, and they'll do different kinds of things. They have different characteristics, the different kinds of molecules. And there's three basic types. And let's go ahead and get your paper and write these down. The three kinds of molecules that cells are made out of. I guess we don't have to have the click to add text. I hate that that's left in there. I wonder if I can get rid of it while the slideshow's going on. Here, let's put it behind me. Or is it in front of me? Darn! Whatever. Okay. Whatever. I don't care if it's in front of my face. Three kinds of molecules cells are made of. One, membranes. These are called lipids, is that kind of molecule. They're fats, basically, like grease and fat are lipids. And so a membrane is a fatty sac. Okay? I can't handle that quick to add text thing. Okay, so that's one. Membranes. Say membrane. Membrane. These are the sort of fatty. And the reason they stay together is because they're like grease. They get repelled by water, right? And so that's the actual physical force that holds them together. The molecules in them are not really attached. They're just kind of stuck together because the water that surrounds them is pushing them together by repellent forces. Okay, so anyway. The next kind is proteins. Please write this down. Proteins are molecular machines in the cells. Something that I almost put in here, but they're made of amino acids. We'll get to that vocabulary later. I don't want to overdo it. But everybody knows about protein. Like you gotta make sure you eat your protein. Meat has a lot of protein, or nuts and beans have protein. Yeah, because that's one of the molecules life is made out of. But I want you to think about it in terms of what proteins are the little molecular machines. They're these complex molecules, and they're really pretty complex, but they can do all kinds of stuff. Virtually everything that happens in the cell, virtually everything that happens in your body is proteins that are making it happen. The structural stuff, a lot of it is proteins. Now, some things that aren't would be like your skeleton has these calcium minerals, but almost your hair, you know what that's made out of? Protein. Your skin, you know what that's made of? Protein. It's like the structural stuff that holds things together and does the function. So anyway, proteins. Think of them as little molecule machines. And then the third type of molecule is the DNA, the nucleic acids they're called, because this is deoxyribonucleic acid, and here's ribonucleic acid. But DNA you've all heard of, and you're going to hear about RNA. It's the same thing, but simpler. RNA, your DNA is like a double strand where they're stuck together. RNA is just a single strand, and it's really important. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce that now. So you have the nucleic acids, which is what the NA stands for in those two, proteins, and membranes. Okay? And so now let me take a look. Remember this video we had earlier on? Okay. What's going on here? See that little guy? That thing there was like walking. I'm going to tell you more detail about what's happening in this as we go. That's a protein. It's called a motor protein. Okay? See this thing here? This is what's called the microtubule. It's part of the cytoskeleton. Again, vocabulary word. Sorry. But the little structures there, you know what they are? Those are proteins. You see these little things embedded in the membrane there? You know what those are? Those are proteins. You see these little doodahs that are attached to those things? These are called microfilaments. You know what they are? Those are proteins. Proteins are these complex molecules, the structural element inside of a cell. So we got the proteins. You know what this is? This big old sack. You know what that's made of? There's a guess. It's a sack. Membrane. This is all membrane. Okay, and so you have these enclosed bags inside the cell, as well as the bag that contains the cell and the bag that contains the nucleus. Now, inside the nucleus is the DNA, but the DNA isn't shown in this particular picture, but the DNA codes what it does. It codes to make proteins. So that's what its job is. And this is going to be a major learning coming out through this unit. The way DNA works is by telling the cell what proteins to make. Those are the units of structure and function inside the cell. All right, now, there we go.